Hi, this video is on my Massimo MB200S, and this will be about a gas tank replacement / relocation. I came up with this idea about a year ago, and I've been messing around with it in my head. So I finally decided to pull the bullet, or bite the bullet, not pull it. So my dad and I, we scoured the garage. I really wanted to repurpose some metal that I found. And this is actually the back of a stool that I have in the garage that was gifted to me. So I didn't want to go to the hardware store, buy anything. It's totally doing my own style, kind of a Wasteland build. I really want to repurpose as much as I can. Only parts I've actually bought, well, besides the bike itself, are parts for the internals of the engine, and all the other pieces I've already had. You know, I built a Baja Warrior a few years ago, so I have a lot of parts from that, and the Baja bikes are just awesome. I love them, so it's like the parts are pretty interchangeable. But there's key differences between the 200S and just the MB200. So here's the piece of metal I was working with. I hammered it down, kind of flattened it out best I could. And I had to drill the holes for the studs on the tank. So here I'm really just kind of flying by the seat of my pants while I'm doing this. I wasn't even sure if it would work, but I had the idea for a single piece bracket. My original idea would be 3 bins, but since the studs on the tank came out, they're perpendicular to the tank, I was able to just use a single piece with 1 bend. And here's the tank that came on the bike. I was going to use the bolt holes to make a template to mount on this bracket here, because it's like a storage tank. Now I took it off. I didn't want it to get broken, so I preserved it. Oh, and this is what not to do. There's no clamps. Yep. Thought about taking this out, but I kind of think it's important to always, even in your backyard, man, you can get hurt, and it's embarrassing, but it's also pretty funny. So now with the clamps, and even this doesn't go as I planned. Watch what happens when I punch through the metal.
Yeah, I was gonna say you should film that too.
Yep, so it grabbed and it bent it up. It is a piece of steel I'm working with, but it's fairly thin. Easy to bend, but that's part of why I wanted to use it. So like I said, I'm just figuring it out as I'm going. Right now I'm drilling the holes to where I can mount it on the bike.
Yeah, or like
and then I'm going to figure out where I need to bend the metal for that final stud on the tank. And my dad was with me majority of this, and he works on stuff. He's been a technician for a few decades now.
That's better.
So he's giving me pointers.
5 times.
I was the one working the drill and the grinder, but I also have been a technician of sorts.
Nice.
So that's the test fit. Shaping up kind of how I'm envisioning it. I had to figure out a spacer on the bottom so the tank's not sitting on the studs going into the frame of the bike. So I had this piece of rubber hanging around. I folded it a few times and it turned into a perfect spacer. It was about a 1/4 inch thick. Well, more like 3/8, but you get what I'm saying. So that's how I'm going to do it. I kind of use the lock nuts to make it float. So it's on the studs. I'm using the original mounting for the tank, just kind of in a different way. I had to build a bracket to make it fit. So there's the bend. I have to cut a slot because right where the mounting, right where the mount stud is on that side is also where the fuel comes out at the bottom. So I needed to work my way around that. Here I make my marks. Now I'm going to slot about half. Gotta take that out. It worked out pretty well. It was a little rough, but like I said, I'm going for more of a Wasteland style build. Not really shooting for perfection here. And lately is my motto has been 90% job done is better than 100% job never finished. So I'm kind of trying to approach it that way. Just head on. Little details, you know. We take care of those when they come up. There's my dad. My dad's boot is helping me keep it steady right here. We're just working on the devices on the concrete, so it was sliding around. I'm sure you saw it move in the earlier videos. Pretty rough. I accidentally punched through when I was grinding the tubing off of the plate. But like I said, I'm not too concerned about it. The strength of the steel is still there. After all this, I took a file to the edges, filed it down the best I could, put some fresh paint on it. Paint was still a little sticky when I put it on the bike though, so you can see my fingerprints in it. Again, I'm not concerned with that. And, you know, I'm aware that the square tank looks a little funky, but I had the tank for a long time and it's bigger than the stock tank. And it comes off a Predator 301. So it's bigger, it's beefier, and it's just more well designed than the tank that comes on these bikes. They're great little bikes, but they're limited. They're basically toy quality, I would say. You know, you start messing around with them, you kind of just gotta right off the bat. You gotta beef them up. I think I start throwing any more power at it, I'm gonna have to beef up the swing arm. That'll be interesting. Maybe weld some plating. See how that goes. If I do that, I might lengthen the swing arm a little bit. The wheelbase is very short. But yeah, I went to O'Reilly's, got fuel filter, some hose, and these cool little clamps. I found out about those from Derek from Vice Grip Garage. And I just love that, you know, if you're on the trail or something happens, you don't have to have a tool to open it. I didn't have washers for the studs either, so I used a generous amount of Loctite, the blue stuff. And there's that rubber piece, and that'll be what the tank is actually sitting on. that was a little tricky. The last stud, I had to, you can see I put the wrench in, and then it was a little difficult juggling the camera and the wrench and all, you know, doing solo here. So I ran the stud in until it bottoms out, and then used the nut on the back to lock it down. And there's the finished look. And I'll do a little video explaining myself here. Check it out.
So you might ask why I wanted to do this, replace the tank. Well, the other one's still on there. Check it out. You could run 2 tanks, and this is three quarters of a gallon, and I believe this one is a full gallon because this came off a 301. And if you look at these little mini bikes, they come with really crappy lids. These things, they spin around and they're not just right. They leak. This one leaks all the time. You see the gasket's already cracking. It works, but if you do any kind of riding, you're gonna be spilling gas, and it's not vented. You see, like the vent is through the cap, so that means it leaks. Now this Predator tank is built tough. You can hear the difference. Look at this lid. It's threaded on with the chain, so you're not going to lose the lid, even if it somehow comes off when you're riding. And you have a full vent here. Thought about taking this off, but I kind of like the whole square. And it's full-on vented tank. You know, I could run this to a canister or whatever, but yeah. So I got the fuel line coming out there, and I can still take it off if I wanted to. Still access it. I'll run the fuel line down around to the carburetor, and I have the option to leave this tank or get rid of it. And I think I'm leaning towards that. I want to get rid of it. I like to see the motor. You know what I mean? So it's coming along. And I gotta plug that hole. Man, that's bad news. But yeah, I can just run some. I could vent the block into the valve cover. But yeah, that's why. This thing's just way beefier, and I don't mind it. Here, let me sit on the bike. It's totally not, you know, when you ride a motorcycle anyways, you kind of hug the tank, and it's almost the perfect size. I just used the original mounting holes on the frame. I made this bracket here, and I got lock nuts through the studs, and then a similar setup over here, which is kind of hard to see. But yeah, it was simple and fun to do.
Well, if you made it this far, thanks for watching, and you guys have a good one.